You're listening to Pilgrims Grey Chronicles, top 3 stories of the week. The world's gone strange, but we love a good peek. From shadows deep to the global stage, we bring the truth from age to age. With harmony bold and a skeptical tone, we dig up the news they don't want known. So stoke the fire and have a seat. This week's top 3 can't be beat. Pilgrims Grey Chronicles.
Well, and there you have it, folks. How about that, huh? It's already Friday night again, and the weekend is upon us, right? Pretty fantastic. The fire is lit, the mead is poured, and the wind howls outside the old stone walls. So welcome, travelers, to the Pilgrim Grey Chronicles. Robert Clark, your host. And whether you've wandered these parts before or just stumbled upon the old lantern light hanging outside the inn, well, you have found yourself in a place where ancient truths still whisper through the rafters and the scent of prophecy clings to the smoke. And I am your guide tonight, a fellow wanderer just like you, on the road that goes ever on. And you've arrived just in time for one of our most anticipated gatherings of the week, our top 3 tales of lore. 3 stories pulled from the swirling storm of modern madness, stories soaked in half-truth, bloodlines, blasphemy, and the kind of wicked grin only the Grigori would approve of. But don't worry, we don't just read the headlines here. We drag them back to the fire, peel off the propaganda, and reveal the ancient fingerprints beneath. Because here at Pilgrims Grey Inn, we're not just talking news, we're watching the seed war unfold, right? So settle in, friends, refill your tankards, adjust your traveling cloaks, and lean close to the fire, because tonight the tales are darker, the stakes are higher, and the enemy is bolder, right? But so are we. And so why don't we begin with our top 3 stories? I'm really hoping that I have resolved all of my ridiculous echo issues. I've just spent another hour pre-show, so I'm uploading late again, trying to fix the many errors. It's the user interface for this new software we're using makes it very easy to accidentally double up on audio, because, like, for instance, you'll have these global settings in one scene where you're setting up your mic, but then in another scene you might have your mic set for audio capture and think nothing of it because, it's a scene where you want to be using your mic, right? Well, what happens then, and I think it's kind of silly, but anyway, I mean, if I made the software, what I would do is I would put in there, did you want to add this mic? Because if you add the mic, since you already have the mic set up in global audio, putting the mic in this scene will cause a doubling up of the recording of the mic. That would be really great if they would put like a warning there, but they don't. So I've had to figure this out all myself. You'd think I'd be a pro at this because I record our band's music, or at least my portions of it, all the time, but it's different software and I'm learning. So hopefully, for the love of God and all that is holy in this universe, that the Lord will bless this show with the proper preparation I managed to put in for 2 nights now trying to get this right. So pray for my sanity and pray for the show, please. Thank you. So our first story I entitled, It's a Flop, Jobs Drop, Trump Hammers the Economy, or Does He? Yeah. And so we've already gathered around, right? The flickering tavern fire. And this is for the first tale in tonight's Scroll of Sorrows. It begins with what the Mockingbird media would call a flop, a sudden job market drop, they claim, that came courtesy of the King of Orange himself, right? And here he is, right here. Beautiful, yes. I made that image just for you. Just think of it as me unrolling a scroll at the table at the end to show you. I hope you're enjoying it. I'm trying to give you more entertainment value here, folks, so bear with me. I'll get better and better as money comes into the show and I have more time and effort and resources to pour into the show. You reap the benefit. Somebody said I should start a Patreon page for those who want to financially support. And I'm toying with that idea because I really don't want to put things behind paywalls. I think that's horrible. The only reason I would put something behind a paywall is if I'm forced to, because if I don't, it will be pulled off the air. Like when I do medical stuff or, basically things that will get my show canceled or strikes on YouTube. I would have to put that behind a paywall. And it's not just because I'm trying to earn money, which I am. I mean, I'm going to be retiring soon and I would like a secondary source of income, just being honest. But I would rather just only do voluntary type stuff. I don't want to put things behind paywalls. And again, the only reason I would put something behind a paywall is if it's going to get, my show, canceled off like YouTube or whatever. So, so you guys don't need to be worrying about that. But if you do want to support, I will eventually put up some sort of Patreon thing or whatever. I don't even know how it works because I didn't start this show with money as a motivator. The only thing I thought of money-wise was pouring money into the show to take time and effort to get greater outreach by either promoting or advertising the show itself to get a broader audience or to get better equipment and better things to give you guys entertainment. So on with the show, right? So here's the thing with what I was just saying about the King of Orange. His economic tantrums now apparently hold the fate of the nation in their gold-plated claws. But is it really Trump who hammers the economy? Or are we watching yet another act in play that was cast long before he ever rode down the escalator, right? Because you see, dear travelers, the masters of this world don't fear chaos. They cultivate it, right? The more you panic, the more they prosper. So just ask yourself, why would a supposed free market crumble this easily? And why are central banks still raising rates in a clearly fragile system? And why does it all feel like 2008 with extra seasoning? It really does, doesn't it? And I get so tired of the games they play with us. And the fact that if you don't go along with it and you're a world leader, you wind up Gaddafi'd, right? He didn't want to go along with the central banks. He was doing, from what I've understood and researched and read, doing fairly well financially with his people and with the whole country. And do I agree with Islamism? No, but sometimes I wonder if that's a cover the CIA and other agencies use to just take somebody out, right? They feed us full of propaganda. Oh, we have to hate this guy. You're supposed to hate this guy. Okay, we all hate him. What are we going to do? Oh, we just killed him. Oh, okay, great. He was a bad guy anyway. And we trust them with all of that. I don't know. Anyway, maybe Gaddafi was a really bad guy. I don't know. I just don't feel like he deserved to be blown off the face of the earth by us, mostly for defying the central banks. So anyway, the reason it feels this way is because it's not a malfunction. It's an initiation. How about a new picture? Kaboom. Yeah. Beautiful, right? So this is the Hegelian dialect 101, right? The thesis is let the economy run wild, pump fake jobs, inflate fake wealth, right? The antithesis, pull the rug, blame populist mismanagement. And then the synthesis, right in with the solution, right? CBDCs, UBI, digital rationing, global governance, but beneath all of that, underneath the dialect, to me, it is the seed war ranging that we cover here on this channel. In the spiritual script, collapsing economies are the ritual dismantling of sovereignty, national personality, even spiritual stuff. And they want to reprogram the masses for submission to a new god, not money, but the beast, right? And we went over that in the Antichrist video we did last Monday. So when I say the beast, don't let it mislead you into thinking he's monstrous, because he'll be everybody's dream of dreams. They'll think he's the Messiah because he solves everything. And so, while Trump may genuinely believe he's draining swamps, it's entirely possible he's been cast as the chaos agent in their dialect. Useful, loud, and above all, divisive. And don't fall for the red versus blue puppet show. It's the gray zones where truth hides, because you're out of their black and white matrix where they divide you. Right? The bloodline games, remember, those pulling the strings don't sit in parliaments. They sit on ancient thrones. Right? We're not fighting against flesh and blood. Doesn't Scripture say that? The ones who engineered every collapse since Babylon. The Rothschilds funding both sides of wars, the Orsini and black nobility operating behind Vatican curtains, the technocrats at the BIS whispering in every central bank's ear. It's the same families, the same agenda, weaken the nations, replace freedom with digital chains, and that's why the economy is tanking to some degree. Because they need you, poor and afraid, and programmable mostly. I mean, that's the main thing. You need to be programmable. So, what should we be watching for? Well, as the system fails, look at the Dow Jones, but at the digital solutions they offer, right? Look for, or be watching for rapid acceleration in digital ID rollouts. That's going to be a biggie. Watch for global banks pivoting to central bank digital currencies of some sort. There's big warfare going on there, folks. We're all going to be in some sort of digital currency, and they're vying for who gets to control it, or whose digital currency are we going to use. And I'm sure they've already got it figured out. And if you happen to pick the right one, you'll probably be very wealthy. So, and then watch for new emergency powers to deal with the crisis, right? They love coming up with their emergency powers during crisis. They create the crisis so they can come up with the emergency powers. It's amazing. And then watch the beast media paint resistance as terrorism. Oh my gosh. Disagree with them on anything and you're a terrorist. And why did they do that? Well, because then as soon as you're labeled by the government a terrorist, they can take everything from you. You no longer have a Bill of Rights available to you. You're labeled a terrorist. So it's over for you. They can take you anytime they want, no trial, you may be thinking, well, they've got to go out and get a judge to, no, they don't. Nope, they don't. All they got to do is legally identify you as a terrorist and you have no rights. Don't believe it? Ask somebody who it's happened to. They'll tell you. And finally, a thought from the Grey Wanderer. A kingdom of merchants shall rise, but their silver will become shackles, and their gold a goad. For when the markets fall, the watchers gather. The Grey Wanderer, entry 11, verse 6. That's just something I made up. So raise your tankards, friends, not in despair, but in sober discernment, right? Sober discernment. That's what we need. We really do. Don't you agree? I mean, if ever a time needed discernment, it's this one. And the war is waged in markets as much as it is in minds, right? So stay grounded, stay watching, and don't buy the lie that collapse is failure. It's the plan. They want a collapse. And I think they think maybe it'll be more palatable under Trump somehow for the vast majority of Americans. And I don't think they're wrong. So, I mean, there's that, right? Anyway, so after toppling the economy like a drunken giant on stilts, what's next for our global elite stagehands, right? Maybe war, right? Because when the money runs out, the bombs start flying. Which brings us to our next article here. Where are we? We're at the Associated Press. Ah, there he is. Trump orders U.S. nuclear subs repositioned over statements from ex-Russian leader Medvedev. Such a fun name to say. It really is. And so it's almost quaint now, isn't it? I mean, the West, led by a pantheon of ghoulish think tankers and AI-generated defense policies, has decided to play chicken with nuclear submarines again. Isn't that delightful? Yeah. Oh, look. There we go. The spirits behind it and some subs. So it's just amazing to me. The West, led by a pantheon of ghoulish think tankers and AI-generated defense policies, has decided to play chicken with nuclear submarines again. And Russia, whose leadership seems stuck between a Templar death cult and a Eurasian resurrection dream, answers with icy calm and new thermobaric toys. But what does this have to do with the seed war? Well, everything, right? Welcome to Gog and Magog Light, but now with extra sanctions. So if you've ever wondered what it would look like if the book of Ezekiel were turned into a global board game funded by Lockheed Martin and Soros PACs, well, here it is. Russia positioning as the hammer of prophecy, whether willing or not, the West rattling cages and threatening shock and awe like it's Baghdad 2003, Israel, Iran, Ukraine, Taiwan, all squares on the board, and NATO, a shield or a setup? Oh, look. I wonder if that's what Gog and Magog would have looked like in the depths of the abyss. Interesting. But make no mistake, it's not just politics. This is prophetic rehearsal. The Grigori, those fallen sons of God from Genesis 6, aren't finished, right? These are biblical things, by the way. These aren't just crazy things. I know most people won't touch on this. They keep it mostly political because they don't want people to think they're nuts, but I don't give a crap. If it's in the Bible, then it's in the Bible. And if you think it's foolish, I'd be happy to discuss it with anybody who thinks that these things are ridiculous, like the Grigori or the Fallen Watchers or Little G Gods who are behind the scenes. It's funny that people roll their eyes at such things, right? I've literally seen it when you discuss it with them. Their eyes go back in their head. But they claim to believe in God and they believe in angels. Why wouldn't they think that they're clearly, they believe a Satan exists? Why wouldn't there be other rebellious angels? And then if you actually take the time to study how they behave and what they do, you discover that many of them are the ones who are behind the kings of this world. Remember, we've gone over this in past videos. The king of Tyre wasn't just the king. The prince of Persia wasn't just a human prince. And we've had this kind of, worship of human beings. Like the Japanese used to consider their emperor a god. And I used to think, well, that's just stupid. He's clearly human. If you were to shoot him, he'd keel over and die, right? But now, having studied this so much more, I think there's so much more to it. Is he a human being? Yes. But I believe what gives him thought and motivation and fills his head with all manner of whatever these beings want, they get from them. I mean, how many stories do we have to hear, like Nikola Tesla, talk about being given dreams and visions, and all these inventors and all these people being given thoughts, dreams, of communicating with beings from some other place that have given us the technology that we have right now. So anyway, I wanted to get that in there because I talk about these things. Of course, I don't have a massive several million person audience, so I can talk about whatever I want. But even if I did, I would still tell the truth about these things, even if people thought I was a nut job or whatever. I'm just a Christian person that believes what Scripture says about there being good angels, bad angels, rebellious angels, angels that are faithful to God, just like there are humans. And I don't think all angels look the same. I think they're as diverse as we are and as diverse as the animal kingdom. It's not one size fits all, right? So anyway, these Grigori, they're not finished. In fact, I believe they're orchestrating this global chess match with the same malevolent elegance they once used to seduce nations into blood-soaked altars and technological madness. Russia's spiritual revival, a mix of orthodoxy, pageantry, and esoteric nationalism. America's defense doctrine is now powered by DARPA, Raytheon, and recycled Cold War propaganda. China's positioning, carefully watching, whispering to dragons older than Mao. And they're not fighting for territory, they're fighting for dominion. Over borders, yes, but ultimately over souls of the human beings they hate. So at its core, it's not East versus West. It's Watcher versus the Most High. Always keep that in mind and pray for your human flesh and blood enemies, that they will be awakened and side with the Most High. Each power block believes it can recreate Babel's summit, ascend the heavens on its own terms. Russia wants a Eurasian empire. The West wants a transhumanist technocracy. China wants a dragon throne dynasty. And the global elite, they want a throne for their coming king, but not ours. Not ours. And all these shock and awe threats are not preludes to peace. They are the birthing pangs of counterfeit peace. And so this is how it always goes in Scripture, doesn't it? First chaos, second desperation, and third a savior, but not the right one. Steps forward with solutions. And so when you see nukes posturing near Russia, don't ask, are we going to war? Instead, you should be asking, what kind of peace will they offer us when the smoke clears? Because it won't be the peace of Christ. It will be the lie of his counterfeit. That's what you can expect. Oh, yeah. And so a final thought from the Grey Wanderer. I like just making these things up, just out of creativity. The swords of nations are drawn not by kings, but by the whispering ones who remembered the first rebellion. Isn't that poetic? The Grey Wanderer, entry 9, verse 13. So hold the line, dear pilgrims. These aren't just saber rattles. They're war drums of a coming counterfeit kingdom. And yet, even now, the true king prepares his return. Right? And from bombs to bureaucrats, we have a new inquisition arising. So, after crashing your savings and shoving nukes into the deep end of the pool, what do you think the architects of chaos would like to do next? Why, cleanse the inner circle, of course, because when you're building a beast system, loyalty is not optional. It is everything, right? It's sacrament. And that's where our final headline steps in. Our third story, Loomer, sets up a tip line to purge disloyal colleagues. Can you even believe that? Yes, there she is. There she is. Laura Loomer shares tip line to purge more Trump officials. So interesting, isn't it? And maybe a little bit on the crazy side too, at least in my world. I think it's a little bit nuts. And it just reminds me of like the whole thing going on in the 40s in Germany. It's just a repeat of it with different players and characters, right? So anyway, let's get this straight. Laura Loomer, once labeled a fringe figure by legacy media, is now the most feared woman in Washington, and apparently she's taking names, literally. With her new tip line, staffers can now report coworkers, gosh, this reminds me of 2020 as well, not just the 40s, who may harbor the unthinkable crime of disloyalty. Disloyal to who exactly? Good question, because it isn't the Constitution. It's the cult. this cult of personality. And it's not just a spicy political stunt. Ah, yeah, there it is, the loyalty test. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. It's it's unbelievable. So it's not, again, it's not just a political stunt. It's pretty serious. This is like a spirit of betrayal rising, and it reeks of ancient Rome and Babylon, where whispers to the emperor's court could land your neighbor on a pike by sundown, right? Or informants? Check. Thought crimes? Check. Political purges dressed as patriotism? Check. Unity through compliance? Final big check. And so the tares aren't just growing up among the wheat, they're submitting field reports. Oh, I forgot to show you the image, sorry. And that's not it. There she is with her loyalty test. Glowing eyes. Lovely, right? Yeah. So the tares aren't just growing among the wheat now, they're submitting field reports. And here's the chilling part. This doesn't just stay in D.C. These spiritual mechanisms metastasize. Tip lines to algorithms, loyalty tests to ESG scores, party purity to public shaming. Dissent equals domestic terrorism. Like yeast in a loaf, as Jesus put it, the leaven of the Pharisees spreads until it poisons the whole system. And here, the leaven isn't hypocrisy, it's fear as morality. The image of the beast, it starts with peer pressure. And we've said it before, they don't need jackboots if your neighbor knocks first. They don't need torture chambers if guilt and social credit can do the job better. Right? And that's the way it seems to me. I mean, what about you folks? What do you think about it? It seems crazy. I mean, put a comment. Let me know what you think. Is this more like the 40s, the 20s, some bizarre combination of the both? I don't know. It's just really odd to me that all seems to be happening again, and so many people just don't see it. They're so caught up in it, right? Voluntary enforcement becomes spiritual rehearsal for voluntary damnation. And it's how the system works. And it's how the system feels before it becomes visible. You self-censor. You pre-comply. You scan the room before speaking. And eventually, you start reporting others. Why? Because you were taught to, quote unquote, care. Right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with caring, but being told how to care and being psyoped into what you should care about by your government and through their media. History rhymes, like we said last Monday. Hitler Youth encouraged children to report their parents. I could totally see that happening again. Stalin's USSR paid bonuses for outing clergy and hoarders. East Germany's Stasi had 1 million informants, many unwitting. They didn't know what was going on. They just knew to do it. And today we have big tech that lets you report posts for hurting your feelings. That's where it starts anyway. And now Team Red is doing it too. Only this time the reports go to Laura Loomer's inbox instead of the KGB. Good job. And here we all are supporting her. It's great, isn't it? And there's Osiris's 14th member. Those of you in the know will know what I just said. And so, look, make no mistake, the spirit behind it hasn't changed. It's just swapped uniforms and hashtags. And they don't need to come for you if your neighbor does it first. This is the psychological war before the physical one. And it's exactly how the Grigori operate by twisting justice into a weapon and turning the flock against itself. Then they don't have to do anything. You'll do their dirty work for them. right? So when you hear about, tip lines, just remember this is not about politics. This is about preparing the masses to bow to a false messiah and loving him for it. They'll think they're doing a service to God. And so a final thought from the Grey Wanderer: the serpent never strikes outright. He whispers to your brother and lets him strike instead. That is from the Pilgrim's Path Volume 2, something I just totally made up as part of a character thing just to entertain you all, because I think it's cool. And there it is, fellow travelers. The economy's rigged, the nukes are armed, and the snitches are warming up. And are they warm? I mean, they're ready for this. But I think some people just love this. Remember all the people during 2020 that just seem to love their new authority? Make sure you go through the corral we've set up in front of Walmart and follow our arrows. And where's your face diaper? So, yeah, I really think some people truly do enjoy that. So, stay awake, stay grounded, use discernment, and stay free. And so, as the last of the tale winds down, the lanterns flicker low, and the echoes of prophecy dance once more into the darkened corners of the world. But before you don your cloak and step back into the storm, have another beer with me. Just kidding. A few final words. Well, I'm not kidding. It would be great. But a few final words from the hearth. Don't forget, this road leads onward. Monday night, we return with a special prophecy deep dive. Remember, tracking the unfolding news from Jerusalem, the growing tension on the Mount, the Temple Institute's shadowy moves, and yes, even the red heifers now approaching sacrifice age. So we were going to go over that. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that, because, I feel like many of you feel the same way, that we are coming very close. And I know people have said that for some time now, but I think more and more people feel it. If I didn't, I wouldn't be doing this, maybe I would. I do like sharing things I find out about. And, but either way, the urgency is felt even greater. So if you want to stay ahead of the curve and not just informed, but truly in the know, then subscribe. Like, take time to do it now. Like, you can see it up there, right? It's, you can just go right to it, right? I'll even show you here. You go right to my page, right? Well, that's my content stuff right there. But if you were to go to my page, see where it says my channel, right? It's a beautiful thing. And of course, this is going to kick in, which I don't want it to. Dang it. I did not mean to do that. But there is a slight pause when you're using this. So if you were watching the video, though, let's go to one of my videos. We'll go to, hey, look, it says your videos. So we go to your videos, and which are my videos, not your videos. And let's pick one out here. The Watchtower Reads. And let's just say, well, don't hose up on me now. Come on. There we go.
This is your before and after story.
Yeah, whatever. So you hit this right here. Okay? Do. That helps the algorithm. If you can see that up there. Can you see that? There's a thumb you can like, right? And if you comment down here, that comment that you put in there also helps the algorithm, right? And now it's, of course, it's going to do it here, but normally there's a subscribe video. So if you subscribe, then it just creates that much more outreach for the channel. And I will be very appreciative. In fact, let me personally thank all of you who have subscribed and are regular listeners, right? I really do appreciate it. And you are staying ahead of the curve. And it is true that the hour does grow late and the watchers above are stirring. So we'll also soon be launching a new Pilgrims Grey Facebook page. I plan to try to get to that this weekend, but I am always so busy. And honestly, I have like 6 to 8, well, maybe not 8, but close to 6 hours worth of mowing every weekend to do. We live on 14 acres, but probably 8 to 10 acres of it are mowable. And of that 8 to 10, we use a tractor with a bush hog because it's where the goats are. And we used to have 4 horses, but they're in another field now, not ours. And so we do that every 2 weeks or so. My wife, well, she is my life. My wife goes out and she likes to ride the tractor and do the bush hogging. And she listens to podcasts. And whoever gets to mowing the yard first, I have to do it on the weekends. If she happens to beat me to it, great. But we have probably a good 5 to 6 acres worth of just grass in the front yard, backyard, and up our driveway, which is like, almost 1,000 feet from the main road, and a barn nearby. And it's a lot to mow. And then I have to mow my mom's yard since my dad passed away. I don't want her doing it. And then we also mow her mother's yard, who lives pretty close by, and that's probably another 2 acres. So we have a lot of mowing to do every single weekend. And it's why, I'm hoping the podcast will begin to do well and more financial. And I want people to be able to support us if they want through Patreon. You would have my undying appreciation. In fact, I plan to make a list of everybody who does it and thank them on the page every time. So we know who our Patreon supporters are. But anyway, so we'll be launching this Facebook page, so keep your eyes open for that. If you want extra content, little sneak peeks, or maybe even a few tavern tales that we can't or don't share elsewhere. I don't know how stringent Facebook is, but they're probably not going to be favorable to some things. We'll see. But I figure if I spread it all out, they can't possibly kill me everywhere, right? Plus, we started a Rumble channel. We only have 3 of our videos there so far, but every time I plan to post there, so you're going to see more and more showing up. So to everyone who tuned in tonight, thank you so much. And whether you're a longtime regular or a newcomer who wandered in from the wilds, your presence matters, your discernment matters, and your voice in this fight is needed more than ever. So until next we gather, may your lantern stay lit, may your steps stay sure, and may the road rise to meet you. Pilgrims Grey Chronicles, good night, travelers, and keep watching the skies, keep paying attention, and be discerning. We need it more than ever, right? Especially in this day and age. So Godspeed to y'all. See ya.